Before watching the video, don't forget to subscribe the channel and enable bell notification to never miss an update from us.
Hello everyone, this is Ashima and in this video we'll be talking about daily current affairs. Now the classes were not conducted for the past 2 or 3 days because of certain urgent thing I had to be or I had to do. So for that part we'll be covering all the remaining days that have been left over along with the current news event. Right, so it's not going to be only about the days that we are creating this video. It is also containing the events which have been left behind because of the classes not being conducted. Right. So here we'll be talking about the news events in a bit of details. Right. And this all is going to be broken down along with the current events. And for those who want the questions, you can download Entry app from Google Play Store. And once you download this app, you get free live quiz. You get access to that. That is updated every day with around 15 questions, 15 minutes timed quiz, which will help you understand on where you stand at the level of current affairs you're studying. Right? So you can download app from Google Play Store. It has many languages you can attempt that in. And for everyday current affairs, you can follow up for details. Now let's start with the first news event, that is Khelo India University Games 2021. Now, what do we have here for university games? This is the second edition of university games that is being organized. The first edition was held last year and that was quite a successful one. So for that part, second event has also been announced. Who is going to host it? Karnataka. Now here they can also ask you for the first event. Where was that held? Why can they ask about that? The reason is that since first this is only the second one, so it is a possibility because it was conducted quite successfully. The first one was held in Bhubaneswar, Odisha. The first edition was held in Bhubaneswar, Odisha. Second is going to be held in Karnataka. Now, there are two organizers. One is who is organizing the second event, and first organizer is who organizes this as a whole, who organizes Khelo India Youth University Games. So, for that part, first of all, if we ask about the whole event organizer, that is Youth Affairs and Sports Ministry, Sports Authority of India, Association of Indian Universities, Indian Olympic Association, National Sports Federation, all of them together are going to organize. Right. And if we talk about the second edition in particular, that is going to be organized by Association of Indian Universities and JAM University. Now, what is new about this year or what is different about this year from last year? That is that there are two new events or games that have been added into this. Already, it's a multi sport event, it's the largest university game of India, and in this, certain more new games have been added. So, what are the new games that have been added? That is Yogasana and Malakhamb. These two games have been added new into this, right? Now, if we talk about SAI, which is also quite important one, and regarding Khelo India Games, one more event, that is Winter Khelo India Games. So, first of all, we'll talk about Winter Khelo India Games. Now, Winter Khelo India Games were also held recently, organized recently. Where were they held? They were held in Kargil. In Kargil, Leh, it was held. Now, if we talk about the second part of news, that is the Sports Authority of India. Now, Sports Authority of India is a national sports body which was established in 1982 and it functions under Ministry of Sports Affairs and Youth. And it is managed by Netaji Subhash Chandra High Altitude Training Center also. Right, so there are various things that it manages alongside. It is working under Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, established in 1982, and various sports events are organized and various organizations and training centers are run by SA. Right. Now, going ahead to the second news event, that is RBI brings the State Bank of Sikkim under its regulation. Now, State Bank of Sikkim was earlier not under the regulation of Reserve Bank of India. Why? Because Sikkim had a special status. So, Sikkim enjoyed a special status under Article 371F. So, under this, there was certain special status. So, something similar to what Jammu and Kashmir Bank was there. Like Jammu and Kashmir was not administered by the government, and for that part, since it enjoyed a special status, the Jammu and Kashmir Bank also was something which was different from RBI. Right, it maintained the state affairs, maintained the funding of the state, but it was not under Reserve Bank of India. Something similar was of State Bank of Sikkim, which has now been included by RBI under its guidelines. So let's have a look at where it is. First of all, the headquarters of State Bank of Sikkim are in Gangtok, Sikkim. Now, it was established in 1968 under State Bank of Sikkim Proclamation 1968. But you will say that this was the time when it was not a part of India. Yes, it was before Sikkim became a part of India that State Bank of Sikkim was established, because Sikkim had become a state in India, was inducted in boundaries of India in 1973. So 5 years before it was added, this bank was established, right? So that is a very important part as to when it was established. How many branches are there currently? There are 42 branches of this bank. Now, what does it do? Why was it not regulated? Now, as I told you, State of Sikkim as a whole has a special status under Article 371F. And that is why Banking Regulation Act 1949, RBI works under Banking Regulation Act 1949. So, Banking Regulation Act, please read it as Banking Regulation Act, that is of 1949, and Companies Act. We have a Companies Act also. Both of these act do not come or cannot regulate State Bank of Sikkim because of Article 371F. Right. Also, with this, it is also that the taxes are not extended to Sikkim of Government of India. That is, any source of income that is there in Sikkim, that is not going to center, it is going to the state. Everything is in the state, right? So there is no income tax also. Something similar to what Jammu and Kashmir picture was there. Something similar, but a bit much better on that part, we can say, right? Now, then we have the next one, armed forces for women in Saudi Arabia. Now, armed forces have been opened for women in Saudi Arabia. That is, women of Saudi Arabia can be inducted in armed forces, or they can be appointed. They can be recruited as soldiers, as lance corporals, corporals, sergeants, staff sergeants. They can be incorporated. That is, appointment can be done of women as well. Now, but although there are power has been given, but there's a limitation to it, and that is that women who are married to non-Saudi citizens, someone who is married to non-Saudi citizens, they will not be eligible for recruitment. Otherwise, any woman who is between the age of 21 and 40, between the age of 21 and 40 years, and height of 155 centimeter and above, can be inducted. Also, they should have a national identity card for obvious reasons, to see if with whom they are married or whether they are citizens of Saudi or not. So, Saudi national identity card should be there, and there are certain limitations on height, weight, and age. That is obviously going to be there. We also have that thing, and education of high school level is required. Now, you might have seen that there are various new things that Saudi government is bringing in for women. Why? Because recently in 2016 World Economic Forum Global Gender Gap Report, Saudi Arabia stood at 141 rank out of 144. So there were total 144 countries which were ranked, out of which Saudi stood at 141. So there's a huge gender gap, and to fill in that gender gap, there are certain changes that are being brought in, especially after 2017. Why 2017? Because in 2017 crown prince of Saudi was changed, and that was Mohammed bin Salman. Mohammed bin Salman took over as the prince of Saudi, and he had inducted lots of changes for including women. but changes had started in 2015. So what were the changes that have been brought in? First of all, in 2015, voting rights were given to women, and appointment of women in consultative assemblies was introduced. Then in 2017, access to all the government services, be it health or education, for both of them it was given to women in 2017. Driving rights were also given to women in 2017, right? And that was it was a huge step, as we can say, was taken at that time. It broke, newspapers on various headlines for that. Then 2019, a right to register for divorce, because earlier women could not divorce men, men could divorce women, right? So now this right to register the divorce was also given to women, that is, they could also register for divorce. And marriage age was also set. So marriageable age was set at 18 years and above. Then in 2021, the new change came in, as women can become court judge also. They can be appointed as judges in court, as well as army recruitment has been reduced, which we have just seen, right? Then we talk about UP budget 2021. So it is, first of all, it is the first Indian state that has stapled a paperless budget. Now Indian government and central government has already launched the paperless budget, right? So 2021 budget was already paperless at central level, but in state level also, the first state that has given paperless budget is UP. Who is the finance minister of UP? That is Suresh Khanna. Now, when it is an online budget, definitely there is going to be an app over which this whole document has been uploaded. So, Uttar Pradesh Sarkar ka budget app was created specifically for the part that this budget could be tabled in online format. Right. Now, if we talk about the total outlays and what budget has been created, so for financial year 2021-22, the approximate amount of state budget is 5 crores. 5,50,000 crores. Approximately, this is 5,50,000 crores approximately is the total amount of budget. And out of this, first of all, the aim of the budget, making or creating Atmanirbhar UP, Uttar Pradesh, and new schemes have also been introduced for this part. So for new schemes, about 27,000 crores have been given for all the new schemes. If we talk about total outlay for new schemes, is approximately 25,000 crores. Now, out of this, 101 crore has been allocated for airport of Ayodhya district. First of all, the airport which is going to be created in Ayodhya district, that is going to be named as Maryada Purushottam Shri Ram Airport. And this airport is going to be constructed soon, which is also under construction. So name has been finalized, and 101 crores have been given by the government for creating this Maryada Purushottam Shri Ram Airport. Then 200 crores have been given for Mahila Samarthya Yojana, which is for women empowerment. The scheme is basically to uplift women of the state. Third of all, there is Abhyudaya Yojana. Abhyudaya Yojana. Right. So Abhyudaya Yojana is there, and this was launched for all the competitive examinations, and all the eligible students for preparing for UPSC, banking, railways, NEET, whichever examination they're preparing for, whichever competitive examination, they will be given tablets, right? So for this purpose also, this scheme has gained quite a success or quite a name fame on this part. Then undersea tunnel, which is the first undersea tunnel of India, is in 2023 going to be started, where in Mumbai. So Mumbai is going to get the first undersea tunnel, and that is going to start in 2023. Now undersea tunnel is quite a news and quite a difficulty to manage. Why is it so that it is quite difficult to manage? Now first of all, it is going to be under the sea, and when it comes to under the sea, we all know that water pressure is quite high under the sea, right? Flow of water problems are there, so it has to be strong enough that it can bear the flow of water, the pressure that water exerts. That is why it is, a kind of a news and a challenge to create, right? And this is going to be the first undersea tunnel of India. Now this whole tunnel, or you can say the complete tunnel, which will start from Priyadarshini Park and end at Netaji Subhash Chandra Roy Marine Drive, its total length is 2.07 kilometers, but undersea part is only 1 kilometer. So under the sea it is only 1 kilometers. Now, how is it going to be built? Using India's biggest tunnel boring machine. This whole tunnel is going to be completed, and this tunnel will cost approximately 2000 crores, 2070 or 2.7k crores are going to be utilized for creation of this. Next, what depth is there? 20 meters below the sea level, it is going to be there. So below the seabed, 20 centimeters, this is going to be built. Third thing, how long is it going to take? And fourth thing, where? So if we talk about the water body, definitely it is Arabian Sea, because Mumbai is near Arabian Sea. And next of all is that how long is it going to be taking for creation of it? 8 to 9 months approximately, right? Now, a few one-liners. UP is all set to export a consignment of 20 tons of Kala Namak rice to Singapore. Now, Kala Namak rice, if we talk about, it is a very important rice, and it is more associated as Buddha ka Mahaprasad, or it is also known as Buddha ka Mahaprasad. And it is one of the best rice that is there in India or grown in India. Right? And why is it called Buddha ka Mahaprasad? That is because of the reason that Buddhist monks used to uh, get it was offered to Buddhist monks basically. In Buddhist countries, this black rice is offered to Buddhist monks. That is why it is known as Buddhika Mahaprasad also. Right now, the GI tag is also given to this, but it is given to a certain climatic condition, not a state. So, Siddharth Nagar, Maharajganj, Bairach, Shravasti, Sant Kabir Nagar. These are a few areas which are under that climatic condition where this black rice can be grown. Right. Next of all, there is also now after this, UP is also thinking about starting a Kala Namak Rice Festival. Kala Namak Rice Festival is also proposed that this is also going to be organized, just like Strawberry Festival is held. Then Zoological Survey of India has prepared a report on two-way mass migration of blue earthworms in Meghalaya. So blue earthworms have migrated to a lot to and fro from Meghalaya, which is why it is in news. And in this part, what you need to know about is the scientific name of blue earthworms, and that is Perionyx excavates. Perionyx excavates is the scientific name of blue earthworms. They're very good for composting purpose. Then February 20 is celebrated as World Day of Social Justice, and this year the theme was a call for social justice in digital economy. Then first ever National Toy Fair is going to be started on 27th of February 2021, and after starting on 27th, it is going to be ending on 2nd of March 2021. All of this is going to be organized in virtual format and is going to be organized by Ministry of Textiles. The Ministry of Textiles is the one which is involved in organizing this. Now, there is a center for creative learning which is only there at one place in the whole country, that is IIT Gandhinagar. Basically, only one IIT is there which is running a center for creative learning. Then Pune International Center will be the co-chair of Asia Economic Dialogue. Now, Asia Economic Dialogue is basically going to be held by External Affairs Ministry. So, Ministry of External Affairs is going to organize Asia Economic Dialogue, in which co-chair is Pune International Center. And which are the participating nations in this? So, Japan, Australia, Maldives, Mauritius, and Bhutan. These are the five states, okay, five countries which are going to be partner, you can say, are going to participate in Asia Economic Dialogue. Then Lieutenant General B.S. Raju, who is the General Commanding Officer of Srinagar base in Chenab Corps, he is going to be the new Director General of Military Operations. So the new Director General has been appointed for military operations now, and that is going to be B.S. Raju. Paramjeet was the earlier one, Lieutenant General Paramjeet was there, but his term is over. He has been moved to another segment. Then Bangladesh has become the first country in the world to ban painkiller ketoprofen. Now, ketoprofen is used for treatment of cattle basically, but the thing is that though it is used for treatment and it is a painkiller for them, but it is very harmful for vultures, and that creates a lot of issue on a whole. So for that part, it is the first country in the world that has decided to ban it, right? Now, there are proposals that certain similar steps should be taken by India also, because there are lots of vulture deaths that are being seen in India also due to this, right? Indian government had banned diclofenac recently in 2006. Diclofenac was banned recently, but it is not effective as much because there are other drugs also which are affecting, right? So India has banned diclofenac, but ketoprofen is still not banned in India. China has become India's top trading partner in 2020, and the major reason why it is because we're dependent on China for certain things which we cannot manufacture. For example, lithium batteries. Lithium ion batteries is something which we are dependent on China for because we cannot generate it. So there are certain electronics and gadgets and certain stuff which cannot be created by India, manufactured by India. For that part is the reason why China has become India's top trading partner for the year 2020, even though we don't want that to happen. All right, now with this, we'll be winding up this segment, and I'll be meeting you soon with another set of news events, with fresh set of news events. Until then, goodbye, take care, and have a wonderful day ahead, and good luck with your preparations. All.